Mixed Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Mixed Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Mixed Design.
Hey Hog Fanatics, we at Inside The Hawg Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share that SeatGeek is a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hog Fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code Inside Hawg Pen. Check out our socials for the link and remember to use the code Inside Hawg Pen.
Yeah!
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
This is where the fun begins.
What is up, everybody?
But we've seen this movie before. What's Sam Pittman known for?
I don't know.
Exactly. Is the Arkansas athletic program cursed? But you never know what the loudest mouth in the fan base and his wild band of misfits are going to say.
I have a river of Kool-Aid for basketball.
It's time to step inside the Hawg Pen with your host, Razorback Zach and Marcus MC Carlton.
Let me talk to you.
And talk to you we will. Welcome into another edition of Inside the Hawg Pen. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's your boy MC, and Jesse the Beard Thurman sitting in with me tonight. Zach's taking a little time off. Zach's been burning the candle at both ends and wanted a night off, and so we graciously said, okay, we'll try to power through this without you. So he's going to get rested up and be back this weekend for a pregame and postgame show. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going good, man. We're about 24 and a half hours away from basketball, less than 48 from football.
Yeah, let's hope for another weekend like what we had last weekend, right?
Well, it's not going to be as good as last weekend because I won't be in the presence of the great MC at Bud Walton Arena. But, yeah, 2 wins will be nice this weekend for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll tell you what, I'm a little leery about coming back to pregame this weekend because, I wasn't on pregame last weekend. Arkansas goes down to Mississippi State and just opens a can. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it, man. They just opened a can.
They offense looked amazing. I mean, you see it on our breakdown over there. Offensive explosion. They looked amazing. Before we get too far in, I want to welcome everybody to Inside the Hawg Pen in the Meeks Design Studio, presented by Rock City Wraps.
There we are.
First comment of the night: the boss is always watching.
He may not be on with us, but he's definitely in with us tonight, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, he's always around. Anything in particular, but with the offense that stuck out to you? Because I have one aspect of the offense. I mean, you go on the road, you put up 58 points. Putting up 58 points against anybody's a big deal, but then you go on the road in SEC play and put up 58. That's huge. But the one piece that I was happy to finally see contribute, the tight ends.
Took the words right out of my mouth, MC. Andreas
Yeah.
Puska, I think is.
We'll go with that. That sounds good. Yeah.
We'll call him Andreas. And then Luke has finally.
Yeah.
He looks healthy out there. He's breaking and getting his blocks, sneaking off the blocks wide open. And with the offensive line changes, shout out to Taylon Green, seeing the field and making accurate passes.
Man, and that touchdown pass he had to Jordan Anthony there was just, I mean, he threw it in a really, really tight window between three defenders, and I mean, it was just a perfectly thrown ball.
Perfect thrown ball, and he looked that middle safety off.
Yes.
He stared down the middle of the field, froze that middle safety, and that opened that window just enough for him to drop a dime right in the end zone for 6 points.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you and I have been a couple of his biggest critics earlier this year for staring down receivers. And the progression he's made, really, you can see him, he's picking up more and more of the offense, which we knew he was kind of drinking from the fire hose anyway on this Petrino offense. But he really looked comfortable in this game. Of course, now consider who they were playing. Mississippi State, one of the absolute worst defenses in all of college football, not just in the SEC. Yeah. They're like 128th or 29th in total defense, and it showed. But that kind of game can do a lot for Taylon's confidence as far as spreading the ball around. And as long as we're talking about confidence, we've been really hard on this guy earlier in the year, but we got to give him some credit. Tyrone Broden now seems to have Velcro hands, where earlier this year, we made the joke that he had an NIL deal with Lodge Cast Iron because he had skillets for hands, and it seems like now he's gone a complete 180, and if it's in his direction now, he's coming down with it.
I don't know if it was a mental block. I'm not sure what he had going on, but whatever it is, they seem to have it fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6'7"?
Yeah, he's a big dude, man.
Within about 3.5 feet of his body.
Mm-hmm.
It's a catch.
Well, and I still want to see him go up and perform what I call the Marcus Monk catch, which is going up and catching it at the height of your jump above your head and not here at the chest. If he gets to where he can consistently do that, he's going to be a weapon. I'm not going to say he's as good as Treylon Burks, but there were times that you could just throw it up in Treylon's general direction, and you knew he was going to come down with it. And with Broden having the height that he has over most D-backs, if he can get that, continue to build his confidence with his catching, and figure out how to catch that ball up here above his head at its highest point, man, he's going to be a real problem for some of these defensive backs.
Another thing I wanted to touch on, MC, is I don't remember the exact stats, but I want to say Taylon had like 23, 24 completions.
Yeah.
And I think the most receptions by a single player was 5 or 6.
Yeah, he has really, early in the year, man, it was kind of Andrew Armstrong or nothing. And he has really worked on spreading the ball around. Taylon was responsible for 6 touchdowns in that game, which is, earned him Walter Camp Player of the Week, I believe is what it was.
He got some big name recognition this week.
He got several big awards, and he got SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Braylon Russell, SEC Freshman of the Week. We haven't even talked about him yet in the impact he had. And we'll give him his love here in just a couple minutes. But Taylon, I was a critic of him early, man. I wasn't sure he was going to be QB1 the whole season, and he has really. It seems like things are really starting to fall into place for him right here. If it's going to come together, you want it to come together this time of the year because it's like Frank Broyles said, they remember what you do in November, and we'll be in November come this Saturday when Ole Miss comes a knocking.
I'll put it this way. I think this may be the first week that neither you nor I said Taylon Green ain't him in the comments.
That's
a weekly running joke between you and me. Yeah. It was a race to see who could say it first.
Yeah,
and neither one of us had anything to say this week.
I felt like it was justified when we were saying it because he was making mistakes that I feel like a quarterback at the SEC level shouldn't be making. But, he's whatever it was, he's figured it out now, or appears to have. But speaking of figuring it out, man, we got to go back to our dude Braylon Russell. 11 carries, 178 yards. I mean, now he did have the big huge run where basically he ran out of gas at the 20. But I mean, he was 20 yards from having a 99-yard touchdown run. I mean, the dude is just he does not play like a freshman.
Yeah, I think they said it took him 15 carries to get to 100, and it only took 16 to get to 175.
Yeah,
and he cramped up. They were going to catch him anyway.
I think so. Yeah,
but I'm gonna keep calling him Braylon Wrecking Ball Russell until it sticks. I mean, that dude was hitting people, and they were bouncing off.
And if they tried to hang on, he just took them for a ride, because I remember one specific run, I think it was in the first half, where about 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, he gets hit by a guy, and then another guy comes along, and he pulls them both for another 3 or 4 yards, ends up being a 7 or 8 yard gain. I mean, we're talking about a freshman that's out here at 255, 260 pounds, whatever he is. I mean, he's just a beast out there, man.
I'd say he's been watching DJ, because DJ says, hit him in the mouth. They won't want it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
We got to that third, fourth quarter, and nobody wanted to tackle him on that big long run, because he ran right through the line and just kept going.
Mm-hmm. Yep, almost like he was just daring them to step in front of him. I mean, and like you said that DJ has pointed out, you hit them all game long. By the time that fourth quarter rolls around, they just, they've had enough, and a lot of guys are getting ready to tap out. And this was a fun game, man. I mean, we've not had SEC games go like this in what feels like forever. And now we've talked about the good. We got to get on the defense a little bit, because I felt like they kind of let their foot off the throttle a little bit to have such a great start. I think it was second play of the game. Landon Jackson comes through and gets the strip sack and turns the ball, gets the turnover, and Arkansas is off to the races right there. But you saw a couple things from the defense. They gave up the big screen pass early, which I don't know if that was really a bad scheme or if that was just a really good call in that moment, because there was nobody out there on that. Once he got past that first guy on the screen pass to tie it at 7, there was nobody there. So I don't know if we schemed it bad, or if they caught us, with a great call or what. But you give up 25 points, which honestly is not bad for conference play the way offenses are now. But if you look at that, I mean, this could have easily been, 41-10.
SEC officiating, for once, we were not on the bad end of it. It could have been 58-45 too.
That's very true. Yeah.
But we held them to less points than Georgia did. When you stop and look at it, they scored one
point.
more on us than they did A&M, and I believe they scored. What did they score on Texas earlier this year?
I have to look it up, but they put up more than 25, I believe.
I'm wanting to say they scored more than 25 on Texas, and
31 on Georgia, 24 on A&M. And but yeah, defense definitely room to improve. A little bit of confusion out there a couple times, not wanting to just hit somebody and make a tackle. But I have no doubt T. Will's been all up in their backside all week, and I think we'll see a lot different demeanor from the defense Saturday morning.
I think so. Okay, so the Texas game was 35-13. Texas A&M was 34-24. So I think it was A&M was the one that was in your head because they put up about the same amount of points there. I kind of expect, as we kind of move the conversation to Ole Miss, I expect the defense to be ready for this one. Very similar to the way they came out and attacked Tennessee early on. For whatever reason, Ole Miss usually does not play well in Fayetteville. I've got some buddies that are Ole Miss fans, and one of them told me, he's like, man, I hate going to Fayetteville worse than I hate going to Starkville. He said, because we have played well in Starkville. He said, but for some reason, he said, we get up there, in that corner of the state up there in those hills, and we just can't play well for whatever reason. And I hope that continues. I don't know if it will or not, but I mean, he's spot on, because if you look back over the years, it doesn't matter where Ole Miss has been ranked. The last Ole Miss coach to win a game in Fayetteville, as crazy as this sounds, was Houston Nutt.
2008.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was there. I had to witness that in person, and it sucked. But I mean, he came in and had his bunch ready. I'm interested to see what Ole Miss does, because you're starting to hear a few more whispers here and there that maybe Lane Kiffin is kind of pulling an Eric Musselman move and is kind of checked out because he's got his eye on another job. I still don't quite believe that yet, because I'm not sold on the fact that Billy Napier is going to get fired now. I think he has kind of turned things around a little bit at Florida. They're playing a lot better, and I kind of think he's coached his way into saving this job. We'll see what happens this weekend. They've got a big one this weekend. But if Kiffin comes in and you see this offense have a day like it did against Kentucky, and they have to rely on their defense to play well, I think Arkansas is in business, because I think Arkansas's offense is starting to hit a stride. Now, that said, Ole Miss has one of the top defenses in the country, which to me is wild to think about, because when you think of Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, you think high-octane, fast-scoring basketball on turf type offense, and their defense is what's doing it for them this year.
And unfortunately, the anchor of that defense looked a lot better in a Hog uniform.
Yeah. I mean, it's
he
just
leads the lead, and
he's
team in tackles.
He's doing everything down there that we all thought he was capable of doing. It's just, I mean, unfortunately, the portal and losing guys like that is just part of it now. You just hate to lose them to another team that can come back and turn around the next season and really bite you. And that may be, he's coming back in with this game circled and locked in and focused on this game. And on the flip side of that, I think there's some guys on offense that may be locked in and focused and want to beat him that much more because he's on the other team now.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Can't wait to see him and Braylon Russell meet head to head in the hole.
That'll be fun.
Who's going to win that one?
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think you got to, from what we've seen from Russell, he's definitely not afraid of contact, and it feels like he seeks dudes out. And I think if he gets a chance, he may try to flatten Pooh Bear, and and of course, that's going to bring quite the pop from the crowd if they meet in the hole like that, and Russell comes out on top of that one-on-one matchup. I mean, that. You'll probably get as big of a pop off of that as you would a touchdown.
Which brings me to this. What are you thinking on crowd size this weekend? 11 a.m. game, rain in the forecast.
Yeah,
it's not ideal for atmosphere.
Not ideal at all. We've always heard that the 11 a.m. games favor the road team. Now you're going to bring rain into the mix as well, potentially bring rain into the mix. Pretty good chance of it. Man, I don't know. I don't think you're going to have anything near like what you had for Tennessee or LSU. Both of those crowds were pretty close to max capacity. I do think you'll probably get between 60 and 65 probably. Maybe 65 to 68. Ole Miss seems to travel pretty well. I know there's several Ole Miss fans over here on this side of the state, on the east side of the state, that are going to make the trip across. They always are pretty well represented when the Hogs host Ole Miss. So I'm going to say about 65-5 probably is what'll be announced, which means it'll probably be closer to about 62. Because they always overshoot that a little bit.
That is one thing in this series is both fan base has traveled really well. It's
Very
not
well.
a terrible drive. I've been to a game in Oxford. I know you've been to a game in Oxford.
Yeah. I've been down there several times for football. Been down a couple times for basketball. The only thing I haven't done, I haven't made it to Swayze. That's on my list. I'm going to get down there for an Arkansas Ole Miss baseball series too and complete the trifecta. But for me,
year be the year to do it.
yeah, oh yeah, I'm already talking with the wife about getting that on the calendar for I believe it's in April when they play. But it's half the drive for me to go to Oxford compared to what it is to go to Fayetteville. Last weekend when I drove over for the basketball game, made it in right at 4 hours. Of course, now it was just me and my brother-in-law. We didn't have the kids and the wife and have to stop, 4 or 5 times for pit stops. We just got in the car and drove and made it straight through, and it's 4 hours. I can be from my driveway to Vaught Hemingway Stadium in just right at like 2 hours and 5 minutes. So, I mean, it's literally half the drive. So that's why I always try to go down there every other year when Arkansas plays down there for football. Man, as far as the matchup, I don't know. I can't get a feel for it. You've got the weather. You've got Arkansas. Their offense seems to have hit a stride. Defense, might have taken a little bit of a step back. I'm kind of interested to see, what happens. What kind of Jackson Dart do we get? Do we get Jackson Dart that we know what he's capable of, or do we get the Jackson Dart that we've seen in some of these games like against Kentucky? Which offense for Ole Miss shows up? I can't get a good feel for it right now.
Their offense didn't look great against Oklahoma either. So
No, they pulled away, I think, in the second half, but first half was a struggle. I think Oklahoma had the lead in the first half at one point.
I believe it was 14-13 at one point.
Yeah, and we all know Oklahoma is just, it's just not their year. I mean, they're just really on the struggle bus hard. And for them to go down to Oxford and play as good as they did in the first half, I was pretty impressed with that. Very surprised at Ole Miss. I was talking to one of those buddies, and he's like, "Man, we're just playing like trash." He's like, "I don't know what." He blames the offensive coordinator because Kiffin has given some of the play calling duties over to their offensive coordinator. This fan that I was talking to, he said he feels like that the offensive coordinator is not quite as aggressive in his calls as Kiffin is. I would agree with that based on what I've seen. But you kind of wonder if, because of the history that Lane has had here in Fayetteville and not playing well, you kind of wonder maybe if he doesn't take some of those play calling duties back this coming weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the last time that this game was lopsided either. I don't think it's been under Pittman or Kiffin's regime.
No. I mean, you'd have to go back, gosh, probably about 10 years to when that 2014 Bielema team beat them 30-0, over Bo Wallace and that crew with Hugh Freeze. But, every game that Pittman and Kiffin have gone head-to-head has been a tight game.
I'll take that back. Pittman did get him pretty good in, it was 20 when my boy Hud Island had the 3 picks.
Yeah, was it Matt Corral that had 6 interceptions that day, I believe?
Yeah, that one was kind of lopsided.
Yeah, that may be the only one in double digits that I can think of.
That 21 game sticks out in my mind because I lived in Conway at the time. My wife and I skipped work and went to Oxford, and that was game of the year that year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and you look back at that now, Arkansas is – they're 1 2-point conversion away from having another 10-win season that year, which is just wild to think about. But, it just we come up just a little short in that one. By far, one of the most entertaining games I've ever watched. And, the history shows, man, when these two teams get together, crazy things happen. You've had, the whole the Hunter Henry heave. You've had the 30-0 blowout when Ole Miss was, the much better team, but they come to Fayetteville, and I believe it was like freezing rain that game or something. I mean, it was something crazy. You can go way back in the history books into the 80s, and there was a game in Little Rock where Arkansas got down to the 1-yard line and was called short of the goal line as time expired, and they lost by about 6 inches from getting in for the game winner. I mean, it's just those are just a few examples, and I mean, you've got a long history of craziness happening in these games, and these two teams, for whatever reason, when they get together, it always seems to be a pretty good show. So that being said, I don't think we'll see a 7-3 game like what we saw with Mississippi State last year.
Oh, I can't handle one of them.
No,
I don't think either fan base can handle one of them.
No, you'll have both fan bases getting ready to pull their hair out if that's the case. And while we're talking Ole Miss, we might as well get into our staff picks and predictions for this one.
All right, let me roll this video real quick and
man.
talk about them.
Very well done there with the video, Jesse. I like that. And even getting the team colors involved there. It's nice attention to detail on that. So there you saw it. You saw our picks there. Zach, myself, Dylan, and Loki all going with the Rebels to finally get one in Fayetteville. And Jesse and Savage taking the home team. What's got you thinking that yours is 45-42 if I'm reading my notes correctly here?
Yeah, I got it 45-42.
Yep.
We beat them in Fayetteville, and not only do I want that trend to continue, I think it's going to continue with the efficiency our offense worked with last week and the way Talon spread the ball around. Ole Miss does have a good defense, but they're going to lock down Armstrong. He's going to hit Broden. They're going to lock down Broden. He's going to hit Satania. Then he's going to hit his tight ends. Then Braylon Russell's just going to run wild. So I think it's one of those. It comes down to the wire, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say Ole Miss misses a game-tying field goal as time expires.
Oh, wow. Boy. You talking about a stressful one. If it comes down to that, and the irony that it would be Ole Miss missing the field goal rather than Arkansas. Wow, 45-42. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this cost me my lead in our overall staff picks. But Zach's got it 38-31 Ole Miss. I've got 38-28. I just kind of feel like this Ole Miss offense is due for an outbreak. And unfortunately, I feel like it's going to come Saturday. Jackson Dart is overdue for a really good game. One of their running backs that I believe his last name is Bennett, he has been a fan favorite, but for whatever reason hasn't been able to get on the field much. And, there's been some uproar about it among the Ole Miss fans, and he's been promoted up to second team from fourth team. And so they're expecting him to split the snaps with the starter. And this kid can apparently run. He is I don't know a whole lot about him other than just what I've been told, but he's very quick. He's got good breakaway speed if he gets out in the open field. But he's shifty, kind of reminds me a little bit from what they're telling me, kind of reminds me of a little bit of the way Alex Collins, RIP AC3. But, he was always quick. He was at max speed in about 3 steps. And he could get through the line really quick, and that's kind of some of what I've been told on this Bennett kid from Ole Miss. So he'll be one to watch out for. Dart's he's got weapons all over the field, man. It's just a matter of if they can get everybody on the same page. I've got 38-28. Dylan has 28-21. And Loki has 24-17. So all of us that are picking Ole Miss, I think everybody on the entire ITHP team agrees it's going to be a close game. I don't think anybody sees this as a blowout. I mean, I think I've got the largest margin of victory at 10. But everybody else is either 3 or 7. Sarah has the Hogs winning by 3, just like you. She just doesn't have quite as much offense. She's got 27-24 Hogs. So, does weather play a factor? Maybe, maybe not. You want to say normally that when bad weather comes in, it slows the scoring down, but that's not always the case in this series because Arkansas some of their high scoring outputs have been in bad weather. I think back to many years ago when Tommy Tuberville was there, and in the pregame he said nothing stinks like a wet hog, and then he goes out and gets beat 42-0. So there's there's just a lot of history here, and I'm anxious to see what happens. Can Arkansas? We hadn't even talked about the fact that if Arkansas wins Saturday, they're bowl eligible.
Here comes Larry.
Get Larry the bowling ball out of his storage and blow the dust off of it, and maybe they can set up the owl like they had for him there in the locker room. But we can't see Larry unless the Hogs take care of business. So hopefully we'll get a cameo from Larry after the game on Hogs Plus or something. So hey Jesse, you want to do these other staff picks for around the SEC?
Let's hold that off till after hoops.
Okay. I did. I misread it. I misread the lineup here. That's my bad. I'm jumping ahead. So
let me go ahead and knock out our soccer update, and we'll hit a break, grab a drink, and get settled back in. Your Lady Razorbacks finished second in the SEC in soccer this year. That earns them a first-round bye in the tournament. Ava Tankersley has got to be up for SEC Player of the Year.
No doubt. Yeah.
She's just been unreal. I'm looking at the bracket right now. Like I said, we're the number 2 seed. Mississippi State did get the 1 seed. Our first match in the tournament will be on the SEC Network, and that's on Tuesday, I believe, at 11:30 a.m. Central, and we will play the winner of Georgia and A&M. Considering we played A&M to a tie, I'm going to root for the Bulldogs in that one. And then if we win there, it's looking like a potential matchup, depending on how it falls, with our most hated rival in all sports and in life, the Texas Longhorns. But definitely looking good for the NCAA tournament as well. I would like to see Coach Hell lock down an SEC championship. I think that'd be a great achievement for him and this team. So I may have to turn that one on while I'm at work and lay my phone on the table there and watch it while I cut some meat.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely one worth watching. So you said it was either Mississippi State or A&M. Refresh me here. Is A&M the game where we had the goal wiped off for the phantom foul?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be either Georgia or A&M, but
Georgia,
yes, we were in College Station. She never touched the goalie.
Yeah,
How
I didn't see
the goalie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a soccer expert. I am a very casual fan. But I'm pretty sure you have to touch someone to foul them.
Normally that's the case. I mean, I have seen in basketball, I have seen some anticipation calls. So I don't know if that sort of thing usually happens in soccer, but it looks like that's what happened here. Or maybe the official thought he saw something that he didn't see. Or, maybe we can just go full Zach here and say it's just, SEC officials doing SEC things.
But on that note, MC, let's go ahead and grab us a break real quick.
All
and
right.
When we come back, it'll be time for MC School of Hog Hoops, and we'll review Kansas and the atmosphere at Bud Walton Arena this past Friday.
Yeah, that was a fun one for sure. Not just because I was in great company, but we had a rockin' Bud Walton Arena, and we'll dive off head first into this after the break. You're watching Inside the Hawg Pen.
Back right after this.
Meeks Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Meeks Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Meeks Design.
Hey, Hog fanatics! We at Inside the Hawg Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share that SeatGeek is a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hog Fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code Inside Hawg Pen. Check out our socials for the link, and remember to use the code Inside Hawg Pen.
Yeah! It's time to step back inside the Hog Pen to the Meeks Design Studios.
All right, we welcome you back into Inside the Hog Pen, presented by Rock City Wraps, into the Meeks Design Studio. All right, Jesse, we were both there, man. Let's jump right into it here.
First, we got to throw this comment from Loki up. Loki can feel the energy.
Yeah, the energy's about to change, man. I especially after last Friday night, I am full blown in basketball mode now. If I wasn't before, I sure am after getting to go to Bud Walton Arena last Friday night. Let me just start with the atmosphere, man. What an atmosphere. It did not feel like an exhibition game. It felt like a mid-February SEC matchup with like conference title on the line, because the crowd came ready to roll.
And props to Juracek, Coach Cal, whoever it was. The light-up wristbands were amazing.
Oh, that was awesome.
Just pure energy in that building. There was a whole section of the upper deck that no one talked about that magically was empty, but you couldn't tell that there was an open seat in that place. It was so loud.
Yeah.
Fans having a good time. And, man, how about Boogie Flan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you could ask for a much better debut from one of your prized freshman recruits than Boogie Flan. He come out, I mean, and he was not matched up on a scrub all night either. He was matched up on DeJuan Harris, who has been with Kansas. You know, he was the point guard on that Kansas national championship team from 22, and then he was also on the team in 23 that Arkansas upset in, what was that, second round, I believe, when we got them in round of 32? Yeah. But so, I mean, this guy is, he's an all-everything player, and at times Boogie Flan just made him look silly. I mean, it was just Boogie seemed very, very comfortable for a freshman playing his first collegiate game against the number one team in the country.
So, MC, let me ask you this. Out of everything you saw, what was your favorite moment of the night?
Oh, favorite moment for me probably came in the second half. Kansas had made a little run. I think they'd scored like 6 straight points to cut the lead down from like 18 to 12. And you could tell they were just on the cusp of getting into the game. And you have back-to-back steals by Boogie Flan and DJ Wagner with 4 immediate points in about 15, 20 seconds to put that lead back up to 16. To me, I kind of felt like at that point, that kind of broke Kansas's spirit a little bit, because I don't know that they got any closer than about 14 after that point. But, the reason that was such a big deal for me is because we have seen in the past, and maybe, saw it quite a bit last year, honestly. Not much before that with Musselman, but last year we would get out, we'd have a lead, we'd blow the lead, and then, either have to hang on for dear life or end up losing by about 6 points. It was like these guys could feel the momentum shifting, and I felt like it. I felt like the momentum was shifting a little bit. Kansas was on a run, and Boogie just comes down and says, no, I'm going to shut this down. He gets a steal, goes down, gets a dunk. The very next possession up the floor, DJ Wagner steps in front of a pass, takes it the other way, gets the crowd back into it. Everybody starts hopping. Kansas has to call a timeout. We all stand up, call the Hogs with the lights flashing and everything, and it was over from that point.
Mine, I can't remember if it was Boogie or DJ, but want to say Harris brought the ball up, and as soon as he hit mid-court, it was just in his
Oh, that was
shorts
DJ.
whipping,
Yeah.
lockdown D. Crowd goes wild. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's some of the best defense I've ever seen played on a basketball court. He
Yeah.
was cutting him off before he even thought about changing directions.
Yeah, it was almost like Wagner was in his head and he knew the moves he was going to make before he tried to make them, because whatever Harris tried to do in that moment, Wagner had him cut off, whether it was left, right, or straight at him. He just wasn't making any progress at all, and the crowd recognized that, and to me that's part of what makes Arkansas fans in basketball so special, is because little things like that, like D'ing somebody up and just completely locking them down, that gets the crowd going wild, in addition to dunks and three-pointers and everything else. So, yeah, it was it was a fun night. I mean, I don't know that you could have asked, the only thing I would have liked to have seen improved a little bit, but I'm going to put an asterisk by it. You had 13 turnovers on the night. That's a big number. I like to keep turnovers to about, I don't want to see more than 7 or 8. But when you put into, take things into consideration that these guys had been scrimmaging against staff members. You had 5, maybe 6 or 7 guys who were healthy enough to scrimmage for the last 2 weeks. When I went down to Hot Springs, we had 7 guys that participated, and then they were taking on staffers. So you had these guys out. On top of that, none of these guys have really played with each other on a consistent basis for more than, let's say, 6 months, at the very max 6 months. So to have 13 turnovers with a bunch of guys who have really not played before, I can kind of let that slide for this. I kind of feel like Cal's the same way, just because of the fact that we've not had those reps of these guys together. And we have to talk, we talked a little bit about DJ Wagner's defense. His offense looked pretty stinking good too. So many drives. He's quicker than I thought he was. I knew he was a good player, but I did not realize how quick his first step is. His first step of blowing by guys and getting to the hole was just phenomenal. I mean, and then he knocks down, I think we had 4 3-pointers on a night. I think he had 2, and then Big Z had a couple. And Big Z, we got to talk about him too, man, because Cal had said pregame, he's like, I'm not letting Big Z shoot any threes. So Big Z goes in and he makes some good moves in a post. He had a move in the second half where he posted a guy up and faked him out with the way he leaned. He put all of his weight on his right shoulder, which was to the inside, and immediately spun to the outside to his left and went for a 2-hand dunk. And I mean, it was a beautiful post move. You could tell that he, even though he wants to be a 7'2" guard, he has put in some work on his post moves. I felt like his rebounding was pretty good. I would like to see him have a little more strength in his forearms when he grips the ball, because there were a few times that he got, the ball got kind of stripped from him. But you look down and Big Z ends up with 18 points, third leading scorer on the team. The only other guy in double digits besides DJ and Boogie.
Yeah. Just got to bulk up a little bit more, but I was impressed with what I seen. Running that offense through him at the top. Again, we have an offense.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, I want to get to Eric's comment here. I'm completely sold on Boogie. I don't know that I've personally seen a debut of a freshman with that much pose and composure on the court.
Not at Arkansas. I don't think I have. I was talking to another old timer like myself the other day. That's a big fan, and we were trying to think. Okay, when was the last time that we had a freshman come in that mature and with that ability to just take over a game? We had to go all the way back to like Todd Day and Lee Mayberry, of somebody that came in that composed early on. And I'm not even sure Day fits into that category. He was always kind of a bit of a wild card anyway, but Mayberry was very composed as a freshman, had a lot of ability to, I don't know if he would really take over a game like what Boogie did. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, he is definitely a caliber above what we are used to seeing at Arkansas. Moses Moody we all thought Moses Moody was a great freshman, and he was. He was SEC Freshman of the Year. But just to see Boogie come in and everything looks so effortless, and it's almost like he's seeing 2 to 3 plays ahead of what everybody else is seeing, and it just makes every move he makes seem like the perfect move when he made it. Now, can he continue that? I hope so. He may come out tomorrow night at TCU and look like a freshman. I don't think that's the case, but it is possible. But as far as his debut game, I mean, he couldn't have played much better.
No, and after that debut game, if he maintains that consistency throughout the year, not only is he going to be playing in the league next year, he's going to be starting in the league next year.
Yeah, he's a lot. If he keeps up playing at this pace, he'll be a lottery pick, no doubt. And I mean, you may even be looking at a top 5, top 10 pick, because he was not matched up on scrubs. Kansas #1 team in the nation. DeJuan Harris, one of the better point guards. DeJuan Harris is going to have a heck of a year. Kansas is going to be really good. Now, we have to point out,
get Dickinson back.
Yeah, Hunter Dickinson did not play, and then the guard that they had that transferred from Alabama, who is supposed to be one of their sharpshooters, also did not play. Those two guys would have made a difference in that game. Do I think they would have made enough of a difference to where Kansas wins the game? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I would have loved to have seen Big Z and Hunter Dickinson go one-on-one a little bit, because Hunter Dickinson right now, as it stands, is the better player, but I feel like it would have helped Big Z to face somebody with the caliber of skill that Hunter Dickinson has. And
size.
Yeah, his size. He's a bulky dude. He's thicker than I thought he was. When I saw him standing out at half court, I knew he was a big dude, but he's broad shouldered. He's pretty thick. His build is the build we want Big Z to have. Because there's definitely muscle.
Lanky like Big Z does. He is a solid 7'2", and
yeah, no doubt about it.
I'd love seeing him and Jonas Adu go step for step down in the paint. And we may get to see that later this year.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see Arkansas and Kansas match up in the tournament again at some point. I could see that happening if the brackets fall a certain way. I want to talk real quick on Jonas Adu, and then we'll move on to preview TCU game a little bit. He set out the other night. He's another big force down low. If you look back last year when he was at Tennessee, he's one of those guys that plays very physical. He's a rebounding machine. He can score. You get him, Adu Thiero, and Big Z all. That's some really good size right there. That's a good 3-man rotation in the size category. And I haven't even brought up Brazil.
You're missing what I think's the most. Well, he's the only really returner, but the most improved returner for sure.
And, I had talked about this when I saw him at Hot Springs, and I think it carried over to the other night in the Kansas game too. He just looks more comfortable this year. He looks like he's having fun again. He looks like he has confidence in that surgically repaired knee, which I don't think he ever had any confidence in his ability last year, because he favored the knee at times. He would go with the brace, without. Didn't have a brace on the other night. His conditioning seems to be a little better too, because early on in the game, when Boogie got that steal and threw the oop to him off the backboard, Brazil got down the court faster than anybody except for Boogie. When he saw Boogie had the steal, he took off in a dead sprint to try to get down there to where, they could have the lob pass play like they had. And I think we're going to see more of the Brazil that we saw pre-injury, especially if I feel like he's one of these guys that will do better when he is not being depended on to be the man. When he can fall into his role and get his 10 points and 12 rebounds and not be expected to have, 22 and 14 every night, I think he will thrive better, because I kind of felt like at times he was putting too much pressure on himself to try to deliver, and that caused him to do some things that were maybe out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Biggest thing I've seen with Trevin is he didn't just stand out on the 3-point line.
Yes.
He went down low. He posted a guy up.
Mm-hmm.
He missed it, but he did go for a baby hook. A little bit of practice. That'll be a good shot for him with his height.
Yeah.
But I think Cal's really going to mold him into what we need him to be.
Yeah. Well, and we saw, if you watch the broadcast back, you saw at one point in the game, Brazil passed up a wide open 3-pointer, and the next dead ball, Cal was mic'd up for the game, and he's pulling him over to the side, and he's like, "Come here." He's like, "Why not just shoot that?" He's like, what are you going to show me? You're passing up a wide open 3-pointer. And I love that approach because he's building his confidence. He's correcting him, but at the same time, he's building his confidence because he's telling him, he's like, "We know you can hit that shot. Take the shot." And that'll pay off down the road when we get in a situation where he's got a wide open shot and the shot clock may be running down, or it may be one of those key possessions where we have to have a basket. That's another big thing I feel like we have this year. I feel like we have multiple options of guys who can get that basket when we absolutely have to have it.
Yes, absolutely. Thiero did not have a good game. He just had the dunk on the breakaway, but I think he's going to get better suited.
Mm-hmm.
Nelly Davis, that's the first time he had really done anything since coming out of the cast. He was trying to force it, but I think everybody says he's the best player on that team.
Yeah, which if that's the case,
if they're saying that, I'm going to order 2 5-point harnesses because I'm going to need one and you're going to need one. We may need to order a third for Savage.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, if Nelly finds his groove, and we know he has it because we saw what kind of player he was at FAU. He's just got to get the reps. Like you said, he just come off the injury list. He hadn't really scrimmaged hardly at all in several weeks. So, I mean, he's knocking rust off. He's trying to find his place in this offense and complement Boogie and Wagner in that guard role. But I could see him coming off the bench for a little bit till he finds his groove. And then when he finds his groove, you may see a 3-guard starting lineup with him and Boogie and DJ, all 3 in the starting lineup.
And that's not even getting into what Coach Self said that he said Kansas will not play a better guard lineup than what they saw in that exhibition.
Yeah, Coach Self was very complimentary of Arkansas after the game. He's talking about he feels like this team is more talented than some of the ones that Coach Cal had at Kentucky. And then the comment about they won't face a better trio of guards than what they faced in this game. I mean, and look, this is a Hall of Fame coach saying this about your team, and Bill Self is not one just to throw out compliments to try to butter up a fan base. If he doesn't truly mean it and believe it, he's not going to say it. So this is going to be a fun ride. The ride continues tomorrow night down in Fort Worth. They get another exhibition game against TCU. I did a little research on TCU today when I was supposed to be working, but we won't tell anybody about that. So TCU is picked 10th in the preseason Big 12 poll. Now, you might look at that. That's a little deceiving because the Big 12 is absolutely loaded with basketball teams. You're talking Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Houston. Yeah, how can I forget Houston? I mean, Kelvin Sampson has done a wonderful job down there. So, I mean, that's 6 or 7 teams right there before you get out of what I would consider the elite and the really, really good teams. TCU's predicted right now at preseason, they are picked as a bubble team in the Big 12. There were only 3 bubble teams. It was them, West Virginia, and I believe Utah were the 3 bubble teams. Frankie Williams is their point guard. He's kind of bounced around a little bit. I think he's kind of found a home here at TCU. Ernest Uday is their post player, so they have a very solid point guard, a very solid post player. In addition to that, their starting lineup is something that you don't see very often in this age of the portal. They're going to start 4 seniors and a junior. I don't know. I can't remember the last time that Arkansas has played a team. The only one that comes to mind that had that kind of age and seniority on their team was when they played UConn. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Maybe one of the lower G5 schools had that kind of seniority. But anytime you've got guys that have been, in college basketball for that long. Most of these guys have been at the program that long. Frankie Williams, I think, is the exception to that. These guys have been around. They know what they're doing. And let's not underestimate the fact that when you're a senior in college, you're talking about 22, 23 years old versus 18 and 19-year-olds that Arkansas has starting with, Boogie Fland and DJ Wagner. There is a physical development difference there. Will that play a role? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think part of that depends on how physical TCU tries to get with our guards. I would like to see TCU play very physical. Jamie Dixon is the coach there. He is known as a defensive-first coach. His teams will play defense. Where they struggle is being able to score the ball sometimes, but their defense is usually very, very good. So this will be a good test for not just the guards, but all of Arkansas, really, to see how they handle it when they face a team that is very physical, up in your face, focusing pretty much solely on defensive pressure. So I believe it's 7 o'clock tomorrow night. No TV tomorrow night, so we're going to have to rely on Chuck and Coach Z to call the action for us. Now, if you were on Twitter earlier today and you follow Pinto, there might be something in the works there with ES Pinto. But we'll leave that up to the man himself. I'm just saying, he threw the bat signal out there today when they said that there would be no TV on this game. And if you follow him on Twitter and he's done that in the past, then you know what that means. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm just excited. It's been a long week waiting on another basketball game to get here.
Not much wait after that. Next Wednesday night, I believe it is the official start of the season against Lipscomb. Do we know TV on that, MC?
I believe that is SEC Network Plus. I
figured that might be a plus game.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that one is a plus. And then they get into the regular SEC Network games a little later on. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, SEC Plus, 7 o'clock. Wednesday night, November 6th. They're playing Lipscomb. I believe Lipscomb was the team that Arkansas played in Little Rock last year. I think. I'm not sure on that. I'd have to, but we had the big lead and then we blew it, and Devo had to hit the layup late to kind of seal it. I thought that was Lipscomb. I could be wrong, but I was there, but I was so frustrated by that point that, because we had blown a 21-point lead at that point in the game, and Zach and I were both venting our frustrations very loudly, but held on for the win. Either way, they come to Bud Walton Wednesday night for the official season opener, and the Cal experience at Arkansas will officially get underway. No more exhibitions after tomorrow night.
I am ready.
Oh, I am beyond ready.
On that, let's go ahead and jump over into the SEC Pick'em for the week, and let me just take a bow for my performance last week. I went 5-1, and I called the game that I was picking wrong, although Vandy almost pulled that one off.
Man, Vandy is still in the hearts of America right now with the upset of Bama and then playing Texas so close and being, just within a couple of plays of being able to pull that off. They have captured the nation.
If I'm Tennessee, I'm shaking in my boots for that end of season rivalry game.
Yeah, that may be fun. So
I don't have the records right here in front of me. I know you're still in the lead, but I'm gaining ground on you. Do you have the?
I don't think I have those records. Let me just make sure real quick, because Zach had sent me some stuff earlier today. No, we got the pick'ems. That's all that I got. So I think it's back to we are all within one game of each other. Zach was talking about it.
1 or 2 game lead, but we're neck and neck for sure.
Yeah, everybody. The big lead that I had has dwindled. I have done my best, Brett Bielema, and I have tried to completely give this lead away. I'm working on it. I think I have a 1-game lead over Jesse and a 2-game lead over Zach right now.
Brett Bielema, Eric Musselman. What's the difference?
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So first up, Anchor Down, as we have been talking about, travels down to the Plains to take on the struggling Auburn Tigers and Hugh Freeze that feels like he's kind of fighting for his life right now. Auburn is the 7-point favorite. Who you got, Jesse?
Anchor Down. They pulled one off against what's honestly, outside of the win against Ole Miss, a very bad Kentucky team.
Yeah.
Go Diego, go. Anchor Down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like I said, Vandy's kind of captured some hearts. They've kind of become a media darling, and very well played on the Diego line there. I like that. So I'll take Vanderbilt in that one. The next two are a couple of stinkers, but they do involve SEC teams, so we went ahead and put them in here. Maine.
Real quick, MC.
Yeah.
I got Zach's picks here in front of me.
Oh, yeah,
too.
okay.
And Razorback Zach is being smart on this one. He is taking Vandy as well.
All right, so it's a clean sweep for Vanderbilt. Next game up, Maine travels over to Norman to take on the Sooners. I don't see any way this one's close, man. I think Oklahoma gets a. This is the equivalent of a slump buster.
Yeah, I think they can pull the band down and have them play the entire game and still come out with a victory on this one. OU big.
Yeah.
Think they get some chemistry going with what players they have left and give Coach V something to be happy about on tape.
Yep, I would agree there. What's Zach got on this one?
Zach is going Boomer Sooner as well.
I figured as much. The second of the two stinkers, UMass, who has already played one SEC team this year. They hosted Missouri. This time they're headed down to lovely Starkville to listen to those cowbells and take on Mississippi State. Mississippi State is an 18-point favorite. Again, I think this qualifies as another slump buster. I think Mississippi State takes care of business, and not only do they win, but they also cover.
Zach's got Mississippi State. Van Buren's looking good. UMass, Mizzou beat them like 49-3 or something. It was a blowout. Mississippi State will get their second win of the season and get some positive momentum heading into the final couple weeks of SEC play.
Yep. So now we got the stinkers out of the way. These last three are all going to be pretty good games. Next up is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And yes, that's what I still call it. That's the only name I'm ever going to call it. Florida and Georgia. I believe Georgia's the home team this time around. And the Dogs are a 16.5-point favorite. I'm going to take Georgia to win, but not to cover. I feel like Billy Napier and Florida have, I don't want to say they've found a groove, but they have improved from where they have been earlier this season. And I think Napier, he came so close at Tennessee to pulling the upset. They lost in overtime. They've started, you can kind of start to see some pieces come together. Georgia wins, but they don't cover.
Zach's got Georgia on that one. I'm with UMC. It's a rivalry game. I was kind of leaning that way before you even said it. I don't think it's going to be – that's too big of a spread.
Yeah.
Georgia wins. Florida puts up a fight for about 2.5, 3 quarters.
Yeah. Yep. I agree totally on that. And I think there's, there'll be a play happen late to where it's just the Jimmies and Joes at Georgia are better than the Jimmy and Joes at Florida. And it'll end up being, Georgia will end up winning comfortably, but I don't think they cover.
Look for Trevor Etienne to have the game of his life.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Is it Trevor Etienne?
I believe so.
I know it's Etienne.
Yeah, I think it's Trevor. Because Travis was the one at Clemson, right?
I think so.
Okay.
But playing his former team in the Florida Gators, I look for him to go for about 150, 160.
I could certainly see that happening. Next game feels a bit like a trap game to me. Texas A&M travels out to the Eastern Columbia to take on South Carolina. The Aggies are a 2.5-point favorite. Aggie, man, after that last win, Aggie's in the driver's seat, man. And they've got some big games coming up. I'm flirting with picking the upset here, man. This has the feel of a trap game. I think I'm gonna go with South Carolina. I think I'm gonna call for the upset.
That's exactly where I'm going. Zach's going gig 'em. I'm gonna be cocky on that one.
Yeah.
Every chance I get to pick South Carolina, I pick them, and they've done me good a couple times this year. So
Well,
yeah,
and
just
something
don't feel right about that game.
Yeah, something just feels off with that one. And this kind of feels like to me with the up and down season that South Carolina's had, this kind of feels like one of those games that Beamer is going to have everything ready for. Would not surprise me if he's healthy to see Rocket Sanders play well in this game.
I could see that. About 120, 130 on the ground,
Yeah.
a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, I could. I mean that would be on par for I think in order for SC to pull the upset, he's going to have that kind of a game. And then did we get Zach? Zach's going Aggie on that one.
Zach's going Aggie. So
Okay.
Looking at the list, I'm pretty sure me and you are going to pick the same on this next one. So
Yeah.
Our separation will stay the same. We'll either leave Zach in the dust or he'll be right back in the middle of it with us.
Yeah. Because I saw a video on social media. Tennessee's pulling out the all black unis.
Oh, that edit! Props to that, man. That's one of the most beautiful. That's a hype video in a uniform reveal.
Yeah. The social media team for the Vols. They get a tip of the hat for that video they put together. If you've not seen it, it's on the Tennessee official Twitter, Tennessee Football official Twitter. It's worth going over and taking a look. It's about a 45-second to 60-second video. Very well done. And then that black and orange, man. I hate Tennessee orange, but those black unis, man, with the orange numbers and the way they pop. Man, it's a good look, man. It's a sharp set of swag there for that game, and I don't think that there's any way they're going to be looking that good and go out and drop one to Kentucky.
No, not the way Kentucky's playing. Zach's got Tennessee. I got Rocky Top all night.
Yep. They'll be playing that banjo all night long over on Rocky Top. And then let's see, do we have a bonus game?
We have a bonus game. It is game of the week, really, because SEC really doesn't have much going on. And you got number 4, Ohio State. I refuse to call them the.
I'm with you.
Headed to Happy Valley, and I haven't seen, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be whiteout night.
I did hear that it's going to be a whiteout game. I was listening to one of the national shows today, and they were talking about that this is going to be a whiteout. Now, you would think with it being a whiteout top 5 matchup that it would be like a 6:30, 7 o'clock kickoff. No, this is the big noon game on Fox. This is 11 a.m. So
Fox is ruining college football.
Yeah,
Big noon
I hate the prime matchups in that 11 o'clock slot because there's just something about I'm not a Penn State fan, but you get Happy Valley at night during a whiteout, and it's one of the most awesome scenes that you'll ever see in college football. And for the whiteout to be wasted on a day game is just a little soul-crushing for me. But here's something else in this. Both of these coaches, Ryan Day and James Franklin, are both terrible against top 5 teams. Somebody's going to improve their record because both of these teams are in the top 5. So somebody's getting a top 5 win. I think Penn State is going to get Ohio State. Ohio State struggled to run the ball last week against Nebraska. They had 2 starting offensive linemen out. They only ran the ball for about 60. I think I heard it was 64 yards on 32 carries. That's some easy math there. That's not making much on the ground. I think James Franklin and Penn State get them.
Yep. Happy Valley's going to be happy. Zach also going Penn State.
Yeah.
Loki over here in the comments.
Yeah.
We're going to have to fire him if he keeps that up.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I can't do the OHIO thing. Nope, just can't do it.
Props to their marching band. Outside of that, I can't stand anything about Ohio State.
I would agree wholeheartedly. The marching band's pretty cool, but outside of that, nope. And I didn't like them before the Sugar Bowl matchup we had with them several years ago.
I've
And
never
then
liked
that,
Ohio State.
no, never have, probably never will. But that is by far, I think that's the best game on the docket all day long. It's just a shame that it's going to be stuck in that 11 a.m. time slot. So
Yeah. Well,
we'll
that
see.
wraps
We'll see
us
what
up
happens.
on picks.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and grab a break. When we come back, everybody's favorite segment, Hog Tua, and we're going to start it off a little different this week. MC and I are going to spit on that thing and let you know what we think about some things that have developed in Razorback football this week. So stay tuned to Inside the Hog Pen, presented by Rock City Wraps. We'll be back right after this.
Meeks Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Meeks Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Meeks Design.
Hey, Hog Fanatics! We at Inside the Hog Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share that SeatGeek is a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hog Fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code INSIDEHOGPEN. Check out our socials for the link and remember to use the code INSIDEHOGPEN.
Yeah! It's time to step back inside the hog pen to the Meeks Design Studios.
You just got to spit on that thing. So
I know you did not just, oh my God.
It's time to haul to it, y'all.
all right, here we go. The fastest growing segment of Inside the Hog Pen. I have to think it's partially due to Jesse's Hog Tua shirt that is getting comments anywhere and everywhere he goes in it. We had people stopping us walking out of Bud Walton Arena the other night. It's like, hey man, where'd you get your shirt? And so we were pointing them in the direction of Meeks Design to get their own Hog Tua shirt. So all right, Jesse, you teased it right before the break. So I'm gonna let you bat lead off here.
All right. Casey Sutton, royalty in the house. How's it going, Casey? She set us up perfectly.
Yep.
Hey, guys, what do you think of player releases in football? So I have watched the 4th and 5 interview with Ty Washington. Big shout out to DJ.
Yep.
We don't know the story on Varkey's gun, so I'm not going to speak on that. We're never going to get the story from the program. That's just not something they're going to talk about. Ty laid it out on the table, his side of the story. I think some mistakes were made. Some immaturity was shown. But big shout out to Washington. He manned up. He took responsibility for his actions. He apologized to Razorback Nation, to his teammates, to the coaches. It's a bad deal, but college football's a job now, and he kind of got a taste of the real world, unfortunately. I wish him all the best. I hope to see him at A-State or somewhere outside of the SEC next year. I hope he does good things. He's got his head on as good as can be for the situation. He's focused on finishing school. just got to take care of business and approach things the right way. And shout out to DJ for not being a typical, I guess, mainstream media member and just catering. He's like, hey, man, you screwed up. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on it. Bad deal on both ends. Could have been handled better both ways. But at the end of the day, I think best things happen. They're going to go their separate ways. And I think both parties will be better off because of it.
Yeah, I have a very similar opinion. Again, to echo what you said, I watched the interview that DJ had with Washington. The first thing that stuck out to me was Washington accepting responsibility for his actions, admitting that he feels like now, looking back in hindsight, he could have handled things better. A lot of times, especially when you're dealing with high caliber athletes, a lot of these guys have egos and are not willing to admit when they're in the wrong. To me, Washington earned a lot of respect from me right off the bat by saying, hey, I know I screwed up. I could have handled things better on my side, and just to come out and take responsibility right off the bat to kind of start the interview, apologizing to the Hog fans was a nice touch. I was more impressed with the apology to his teammates. That tells me that he's got good character. Did he make a mistake? Yes, he made a big mistake, but sometimes life lessons get handed out. Sometimes they're handed to you. Sometimes they punch you in the nose. And this feels like one of those life lessons that kind of punched him in the nose. And from what we saw in that interview that he gave with DJ Williams, I think he's going to respond to this in a positive manner. Like you said, he's focused on finishing up school. Obviously he's going to hit the portal. Somebody's going to get a good tight end. The kid has ability. He's a very good tight end. We saw him a lot last year after Luke Haas got hurt, and he come in and he had several good games. One of which was down at Ole Miss. Had a couple touchdowns, I believe, in that game. Kept us in the game. I'm like you. I would like to see him land somewhere on his feet, preferably outside the SEC, and see what he can do. And he may come back from this. This may help him to improve his game because his mental focus, he may learn some lessons from this. And, not to downplay any of what he talked about with the mental issues he was facing and the news that he got before the game, that has to be a tough situation. But as you said, this college sports has become close and closer by the day to becoming pro sports. And these players want to be paid like professionals, so they are going to be expected to act like professionals, and they're going to be treated like professionals. And I think that kind of caught him off guard a little bit. But you can't have both sides of the fence. If you want to be paid like a pro, then you got to expect to be treated like a pro, and you have to act like a pro. And kudos to DJ for pointing out to him. Is like, when they call your number and they want you to go in the game, you can't just outright refuse. He's like, DJ was kind of hard on him. He's like, you can't do that, right? And I commend DJ for that, for taking a hard stance, because a lot of times when you have these interviews, whoever's conducting the interview just kind of caters to the interviewee and lets them vent, tell their story without placing any blame upon themselves, and DJ did not allow him to do that. And DJ Williams has always been one of my favorite Razorbacks as is, but he is turning into really good in this role that he has with his 4th and 5. And once we're done here, it's worth you guys going over and taking a look at that interview and kind of forming your own opinion on it, because this is just what Jesse and I saw. Your opinion may differ from ours. I'm a little old school when it comes to this. But I feel like that, like Jesse said, it's going to end up being best for both parties. It's just one of those situations to where when you part ways, you part amicably, and you go, and both sides will probably thrive off of this. I wish Washington nothing but the best. Like I said, would prefer him to land outside the SEC. But if he lands with an SEC team, I hope he has one bad game next year, and then the rest of them he can ball out. But it's it's never good when you have guys leave under the circumstances of a situation like this, but this is the game we're in now, man. And I think you're going to see more guys leaving mid-season as we continue to go down this road of the portal and NIL and everything else. So it's just, bad situation, but you just make the best of it and go on.
Just to cap off that before we get into the rest of the comments, taking Washington at his word, Coach Old Cold Beer ain't old cold beer all the time like we thought he was. Evidently, he got a backbone, or maybe that hip's just causing him so much pain he has no patience for anything.
And it very well could be that too, because you could tell the dude could barely walk on the sideline at Starkville last Saturday. So his patience may be running thin as a whole, not just with Washington.
Yeah. Well, with that, let's jump in. Let's see what the Hog fanatics have to say. We got Eric Jernigan. I watched Braylon run in person. People that big shouldn't move that fast. Dude was flying. That's got to be a scary sight to see 250 plus pounds of solid muscle coming at you like a literal Mack truck.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in front of him.
And then Hall of Fame college football, gents.
All right.
How's it going? Glad to have you in the house tonight.
Welcome in.
D-Mad in the house. One's to the sky for D-Mad. No one here to stop us. Talking about Ole Miss, and yes, as soon as I seen this comment, I had to start because that was the year that was horrible. In 22, when the announcers started hanging out in the stands.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
it was so horrible.
So the last time they were in Fayetteville, wasn't that the game when one of the Ole Miss players' helmets got stolen? Do you remember that?
It would have been 22.
Yeah. The guy got all the way out. There's video of it on Twitter. Dude gets a helmet and takes off running, got all the way out of the stadium. I don't know if they ever caught him. I don't remember how the story ended, but there was video of him grabbing the helmet and taking off running up the stairs at Razorback Stadium.
There again, this series is crazy.
Yeah. There's always something off the wall.
Something. Loki says, "There's a boss around here."
Not tonight.
No, the inmates are running the prison tonight, Loki.
Yeah.
Then he talks about even on TV, that environment was lit AF, as the kids say.
Yeah, that's the Kansas game.
Yes, talking about Bud Walton in the Kansas game, man. You were so pumped, MC. That was a good time.
I felt like my feet were about this high off the ground all night. It was.
You were almost as tall as me because you were floating.
And if you see us standing side by side, Jesse's got a good 6-8 inches on me at least in height. So the fact that I was almost levitating to be as tall as Jesse is.
We need to get that picture of you, me, and Savage, and get that on socials. That way, everybody can take a look at that. Then they can really see the height disparity. Loki comes back. Speaking of Cal, the crowd seemed to love a certain play. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. If Cal had not endeared himself to the Razorback faithful, he has now, because they have an actual play they run called Horns Down, which is just absolutely beautiful. Love it.
Then we got Dan Yoakum with a genius idea here. If the band doesn't play Boogie Fever whenever he makes a good play, that would be a huge miss on their part.
Dan, that's beautiful. I love that. I was kind of toying around with something on the scary side of things of, beware the boogeyman. But I kind of like the Boogie Fever thing, because if he keeps playing like that, Boogie Fever is going to take over Hog Nation.
What was the shirt Savage sent us the other day, or was it you that sent it?
Boogie Wonderland.
Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah.
And then we need a Boogie Nights.
Of course, Boogie Nights. That's I'm a star, a big, bright, shining star.
And then Richard Wright, you guys do a great job covering our hogs. Keep it up. Been a while since I've been on. Y'all have got big. Peace.
Yeah.
Appreciate
welcome
it,
back, Richard.
We do what we can.
Yeah, welcome back into the fold.
Let's see. Loki DeWitt, when it comes to our shirts, it's like Pat McAfee always says, we do it for the brand.
Always for the brand.
And then Casey, is the game on ESPN Saturday? Who has TV this Saturday?
I'm gonna have to look because I think it's SEC Network, but I'm not 100% on that. Let's see what we got here. Football Saturday, Ole Miss. It is ESPN.
It is okay.
So we'll be right after game day.
Any games to compete with us?
Yeah, we'll be right after game day goes off because we'll be right there on ESPN, which means it'll probably be about 10 after 11 before they transition from game day to Razorback Stadium. Because I've noticed game day's been running anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes long almost every week.
They're at Happy Valley this weekend, aren't they?
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, that's the game that makes sense. So
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I hadn't looked at the schedule, but if we can pull this upset, I'll go ahead and start this BS. Maybe they'll want to come see Texas play in Fayetteville.
Maybe so. I mean, we do have an off week next week. We get our second bye week. Works out beautifully for me because my son's birthday is next weekend. So, and then also Hog basketball will be at Baylor next Saturday. So we don't have to do the double dip. We can just stick with basketball next weekend.
But that's going to wrap it up for Hog 2. It's been kind of a quiet night. I guess everybody's out trick-or-treating.
Yeah, everybody's out getting their candy, and I expect everybody to be back next week and fully wired from all this leftover candy that they have. But, yeah, we still ended up going close to 90 minutes. It was funny, Jesse and I were talking about it in the pre-show, and we were like, oh, yeah, man, we ought to be able to stay to about 60 minutes tonight. But here we are. We're closing in on a full 90 minutes. But appreciate everybody coming in and joining us here with the live fan feedback inside the Mixed Design Studio, Inside the Hawg Pen, once again, is presented to you by Rock City Wraps. Jesse, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Ready for some basketball tomorrow night, and then ready to take on the Ole Miss Possums, as I like to call them.
Well, they may be you can pretty much guarantee at one point somebody's going to fall out like a fainting goat. So that, that's pretty much going to happen. We could, should we set like a prop bet? We can have, Rainwater's got his prop bets. We can do our Inside the Hawg Pen prop bet of, I'm going to say no fewer than 5
I was
injuries.
thinking about 4.5, 5 on the over-under for that.
Yeah, so we'll set the bar there, and then everybody can decide whether they want to go over or under on the 5 injuries. So, all right. Well, my final thought,
just because we're a little slower paced than some of the teams they play, but they're going to push it close.
Yeah, no doubt. My final thought, Hog Hoops tomorrow night. I'm trying to keep some of my attention focused to football as well because football's on the cusp of making a bowl game, which is a much better season than I had anticipated. They've already blown my prediction out of the water. I had 4-8. They've bypassed that. 6 looks to be very strong possibility. 7 is not off the board. If you want to get real crazy, you could say 8 is still in play. So kudos to this football team for putting things together. But in my mind, honestly, y'all, it's basketball season now, so I'm making my transition over. But either way, we're going to be here to talk about it every week going forward. Next time you'll see us will be Saturday morning. Kickoff is at 11, so we're going to say, yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Make sure tomorrow we got Razorback Zach on the David Oakwick show from 9 to 11. I believe he said 2-hour segment. He's Central Arkansas. That's 101.1 The Answer. If not, social media man Loki will get that link. He'll have it posted on our Facebook, and you can listen in live on Facebook. Yep. Zach would have fired us both if we forgot to say that.
Yeah, we would have been in deep hot water if we had failed to mention that. Zach has been doing a wonderful job on the Dave Ellswick show, and that's not an easy environment to walk into because Dave not only does he want to talk about sports, but Dave throws some off the wall questions at Zach, and Zach is knocking it out of the park with that. He's done a wonderful job there. And if you listen tomorrow, 9 to 11, Zach will be on and might maybe sometime in that 10 o'clock hour, might hear a familiar voice call in on the phone. Just stay tuned for that. We'll see. All depends on who shows up at somebody's job tomorrow. I'm pretty sure somebody's boss is going to be out of the office tomorrow. So hopefully we can sneak a little phone call in and talk a little hog hoops tomorrow with Dave and Zach in that 10 o'clock hour. So now that we've got that and we've saved our jobs for another week, Jesse, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I appreciate you sitting in with me tonight while Zach took the night off to recharge the batteries and get ready for tomorrow and Saturday. We've got the Chef James Harris tailgate show coming on. What are we doing? 10 o'clock? Is that
kickoffs at 11?
Yeah.
Let's shoot for 10, do about 10:30, and then watch the end of game day and settle in for the game.
There we go. We can get out of here and get the picks on game day and then watch the Hogs. Hopefully put an end to the Rebels' talk of putting it together and making the playoffs. I'd love nothing more than to spoil their season and become bowl eligible on the same day. That would be a heck of a Saturday. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Like I said, appreciate everybody jumping on board here. Jesse, special thanks to you for jumping in and filling in for Zach. For Jesse the Beard Thurman, I'm your boy MC. We'll see you guys Saturday for the pregame show. So long, everybody.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside the Hawg Pen. Listen anytime on your favorite podcast provider, and be sure to follow us on all our social network channels.